title of my message is You Can't Hide from God. It's going to be Jonah chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, and verse 9. Jonah was one of God's minor prophets. He was also a well-known statesman. And in the beginning of Jonah's first chapter, God sent the word to Jonah for him to go out to Nineveh and speak a word because their wickedness has come up before God, and he needed some things said to his people. So this is where we start off in verses number 3. But Jonah arose to flee from Tarshish, from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to break up. While the ship is out there blowing to and fro, for all the men, they're panicking. This is like, just came out of nowhere. They're throwing cargo overboard, and in the meantime, Jonah is down in the ship sleeping. So the captain goes down and he calls him, going, what is the meaning of this? You're sleeping and we're calling on God. Call upon your God. Perhaps your God is the God that will save us. So while they're on board, they're sleeping. Jonah doesn't care about the raging sea. He thought he was hiding from God. He wanted to get away from what God had called him to do. Psalms 139 verses 1 and 2 and 7 and 8 says, O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. God is an all-knowing God. He's an all-seeing God. There's nowhere we can go to flee from his presence. And in the meantime, Jonah had told some of the men on the ship that he was running from God. So when they asked him who he was and where he was from, they told him. And when they told him, they got even more fearful. And they're asking Jonah, what can we do to get away from this raging sea? And Jonah told them to throw him overboard and to see if the sea might calm down. But they didn't want to do that. They know he was a man of God. They just couldn't do that. But it was like a double blessing in this rage, because the men on the ship, they had to acknowledge God themselves. They were calling on other gods at the time. When the time comes, they had to acknowledge the one and only God. And they called on God and they asked him to not charge them for the innocent blood of Jonah. And when they threw Jonah overboard, God had prepared a big fish for them. And what got me about this story is they're calling on God, and Jonah is still not calling on God. He's not even acknowledging God. And this is God's prophet. And he's not doing it. The verse that sticks out to me the most is verse 9. And it reads, But I will sacrifice to you the voice with the voice of thanksgiving, and pay what I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. And this sticks out to me most because it took a while for Jonah to even acknowledge God and be ready to call him God. This was after he was in the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Then he remembers God. And I recognize myself in this because I myself was hiding from God. Jonah went down in the ship. I'm sitting here, wherever I'm sitting, hiding from God.
Come on. Amen.
I can remember a testimony I gave on Junction when I first got saved. My testimony was that I will be last, Lord. Just let my family come. Whatever you're giving me, just give it to me, and I'll come. But that's not the way God wanted it. And the story goes on. Jonah goes to Nineveh. He gets mad because God doesn't do what he said he was going to do, punish the people, but that the outcome is not Jonah's. And that's where I recognize myself in the message and verse 9. Because I'm saying, save my family, God. But I wanted it to come my way. And I realized that I had to let go and let God do it his way. The outcome is not mine. All we want me to do is be a willing vessel and be obedient. So, in saying yes to God, we have to remember God is looking for us to obey. Amen?